So I was hoping Helen could start off this discussion with just kind of talking about what do we mean when we say hydrofracking.
Hi, thanks for coming out tonight. It's very important, and industry is really good at this. They have very specific terms that mean precise things that aren't exactly what you would necessarily think. And in fact, hydrofracking has been around for some period of time, and that is when liquid or gas is inserted under pressure into a wellbore
talks on on how the industry is approaching this.
It's scary. Is this on? It's really a frightening process. And that's just what went underground. What comes up is the sludge that's left over. And then there's the decision making as to what to do with that sludge. Some of the pictures above us have been pools that they put the sludge in and expect it to evaporate away. And then I've seen pictures from out west where they actually dig into the earth and put the sludge into the earth. And, you know, that's not good. We all know that. But also, when they finally find the methane comes up and they, you know, get all happy. They've got methane. They have to light it. So there's this 24-hour burning of methane until they can get it connected to the nearest gas line. And where is the nearest gas line? Through the farmer's field, through our beautiful woods, and they will go straight over there and connect it. But how long will that take? And how long will that gas be burning and adding to the atmosphere and causing more global warming? Also, to bring the water there, all those many millions of gallons, they have to bring tankers of water in. And where do they get that water from? And we know we have a quarter of the fresh water on Earth here. So they have plenty of water to use. But what do they do with it afterwards? And I know that they're trying to slow down the whole process of allowing them to do this. And I know they're just waiting for people to kind of get complacent so they can continue and start doing what they want to do. But we all know that no matter what kind of rules you make, somebody's going to break those rules. Somebody's going to dump it in some creek or dump it somewhere where it shouldn't be. And we won't know that. No one will know until somebody's ill or somebody finds dead animals who have gotten in there and were drinking from it. There's so many different dangers that can happen from what they do with the sludge that's left over. And it's just very, very frightening. Later on, I don't know if it's now or not, but I do want to tell a little story about my youth and what I've seen over time. I think it's kind of absurd when I watch TV and there's this commercial of these cute little kids. And they're saying, oh, you have to recycle, reuse, and throw things in the bin, the blue bin commercials. They're very sweet. But I think of how outrageous it is, how absurd it is, that there's industry planning on doing such damage to so much water. And for these kids' future, it really looks sad. And it is absurd that they would even think of going to this place where so much of our water could be polluted. And it's very, very disheartening.
Could you talk a little bit about what we're seeing in northern Pennsylvania and what's happening there where they already are doing hydrofracking?
Sure. I've made a couple visits down to the Dimmock area, and it's very distressing. You see well after well. They basically, there's a pipeline in that vicinity, so it's cheapest to start out drilling generally in the vicinity of a pipeline. So So you should open up your windows when you're running the water, and don't smoke in your house, don't light any matches, and definitely keep your windows open. And finally, it seems like in the past couple of weeks, the DEP has grown very tired of the company in question here is Cabot. And Cabot is in the press saying, hey, they find us at small potatoes, we really don't care, we're a big gas company, and we're making tons of money on this, which is somewhat debatable as a side matter. But, you know, this is really small potatoes, which it was like $240,000 for these. And now they're actually supposed to come up with like a real piped-in, true solution to the problem. But it's, as you were saying before, you can't clean an aquifer. There's no way to mitigate this damage after it's happened. And I mean, so you're putting yourself in a really difficult position where, you know, as people say, you know, you can't drink natural gas. Many people have the choice between being a little chilly and maybe having to turn down their thermostat or having minimum water to drink. I'd rather wear a sweater. So there's a real, it's caused community issues, like, you know, with the distinction sort of between the haves and the have-nots, and the people who've been adversely affected and the people who are hoping for this big payday. Although that's really, the big payday has been for a really limited number of families, and even families with drilled wells. They're putting it in storage, they're not paying royalties because they're not going to pay royalties till they sell it. Most of the money the gas companies are making now are on these long-term hedge contracts, which is a complicated issue, but they basically entered into contracts when gas prices were high, they've dropped now, and people are paying sort of prices in the middle, not as high as they were, but higher than they otherwise are. And the gas company doesn't share that. That's a side contract, so that profit doesn't get shared with the landowner. So it seems to be, there are a few people that might make a lot of money, and there's a lot of people paying the price. And it's, you know, it's a very distressing place to visit.
To me, it's a no-brainer decision. So, what I want to reflect back on was when I was small, we would go up to Aquasusney up on the St. Lawrence River in the summers, and we'd swim and we'd play. And my father, for a while there, was a fisherman, and he sold fish from the St. Lawrence River, and it was healthy back then. And it was a beautiful place. You could plant and eat the food you planted. And on came the seaway. At that time, the Mohawks started speaking up and saying, no, this isn't a good idea. What are you doing? And of course, since they were against progress, they weren't listened to. But look at this. I like to compare it to now. That there was a point in the road where you could go this way or that way. You could go on, put the seaway in, you know, go towards the $1 million and whatever, and all the businesses that could go on the rivers. And things could get bigger and better. And they were saying how wonderful things would be on the St. Lawrence, and how vacationers would come, and that whole kind of life would even get better. But we all know now that all the lakes are polluted now. We know now that you can eat the fish. You're told to eat 1 fish per month. And then you're taking your life in your hands at that point. When we were young, my mom could reach in and drink the water from the lake, from the river, from St. Lawrence River. And we all know that you can't do that now. So it was around 59 or so when they started the seaway. And you can look that up, that's probably wrong, but it was closed. And it was 1975, and I know this is true. In 1975, one of the midwives there in Aquasusney, Gudgy Cook, had Cornell, I believe it was, test a turtle that they found along the river. Because she was concerned about the women who were feeding their babies, breastfeeding their babies, and eating fish. And they found 500 times was how many years? It was very few years that occurred. And it's gone on, and we know that there are large organizations trying to help the Great Lakes now. So we're at this point where we still have a great deal of the fresh water here in this part of the world. And when you look at the whole world, we have a quarter of it. Would it be crazy and just against all mankind and all life to abuse and waste and damage the water that is here? It would be. And we are at that juncture where we can make the decision. But we're at a place in time where we can't have the bottom line be money. It's been money for years and years. And it really can't be. If we want to live well, if the animals want to live well, there's so much going on in the world and destruction happening everywhere that it would be a real crime to go in the direction of hydrofracking in horizontal. High volume, horizontal, hydrofracking.
You said you want me to shorten it to hydrofracking.
So it really is a time where we really need to work very hard to just stop so that we're not damaging the water. We're not having all this sludge waiting for somebody to find 50 years to 100 years from now. Can you imagine, there's a place somewhere over in Cuba Lake where they found this great big hole left over from the salt. And they put something like 83,000 gallons of sludge in it. And what's going to happen with it? We all know that salt is corrosive. Someone someday will be coming there and deciding, oh, I'll live here, and oh, I'll dig here. I'll put a well right there. And they will discover that poisonous sludge. And, they'll say, oh, we have to know where every bit of it is, and I know there'll be rules. But we all know how people are with rules. At Onondaga Nation, we know there's rules against dumping asbestos, but we have it dumped on our land. And we have to protect ourselves from that. We know there's rules about dumping medical waste, but they dump it on our land. So we have to protect ourselves from that. So we know that no matter what kind of rules you put out there, it is not a smart thing to poison the water. The water is needed by all living things. And we need to love and protect all of it.
So Helen, could you explain to us what are some of the pathways that we can have polluted water in this hydrofracking process? Like where
some, they didn't, they're not going to, it's been shown that there are these vertical fractures that extend 9,000 feet into the ground. They'll find those fractures, they'll take the path of least resistance. So, I mean, when you stop to, there's air pollution from this, there's the methane that gets released. The list of impacts are just mind-bogglingly large. And so industry will tell you, well, if you regulate us too much, it will no longer be economical for us to extract this gas. If you make us bear all the costs, if we have to tap the gas, we have to clean up the water, we have to pay for this, well, it won't make any sense anymore. That's because it doesn't make any sense.
I want to welcome Denise Waterman to the stage. Pick up the mic.
Good evening. I just want to say I just have a couple of experiences I just want to share with you.
Can't hear you.
I have a couple of experiences I would like to share with you. My first one is probably an exciting one, and that last week I went to a caucus in New York City that's connected with the United Nations Declaration on Indigenous People Permanent Forum, and I'm very proud to say that the Haudenosaunee, specifically the Onondaga Nation, submitted an intervention for all Indigenous people and was ready for many of the state leaders. And I'd just like to share it with you. This is recommendations. Now, this is presented by the Haudenosaunee. It's to the United Nations Permanent Forum on Indigenous Issues. It's a nice session, April 2010. Special issue, Indigenous Peoples, Development with Culture and Identity. And it deals with the declaration itself, so it refers to its Articles 3 and 32 of the United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous People, which we're very proud of. The recommendations are recognizing that hydrofracking is negatively impacting Indigenous people, their lands, territories, and waters globally. We call upon the United Nations Permanent Forum to convene an expert group meeting
Thanks, Denise. Thoughts, comments from Freida or Helen?
Well, one of the things I thought of when Denise was telling that story is they can't sell their land now either. It's not like, oh, I'll sell my place and I'll move, because no one's going to want it.
We've seen that pattern happen across the country. People have had to walk away from their homes and personally, I know the Onondaga wants to stay here.
So some of the things that people have been doing, there are surprisingly a lot of people who don't know about this issue. I'm from Tompkins County, and people there sort of figure all we do is agitate, and there's 5 nonprofits for every person, and but people go door to door, and recently we have these like listening projects because we're all like touchy-feely, but people go around and knock on 32 doors, and 30 people don't have any idea what they're talking about, and that's in Tompkins County. So there's a lot of reaching out to your neighbors, talking with people, trying to get the word out and get people thinking about this. And then there's working to have sort of the political will at the local level to try to take, Onondaga has really been at the forefront of the county as far as not, the ban on county lands, with the nation coming out with the statement against hydrofracking, sort of raising political consciousness, but at the municipal level, passing, urging your town boards to pass resolutions calling for the withdrawal of this draft supplemental, instituting bans on county property, instituting, if your town doesn't have zoning, sort of industrial site plan type review for these sort of facilities, trying to take back home rule. There's a provision, typically in New York, localities have a lot of control with zoning. There's an exemption in the environmental conservation law for drilling activities, and they say you can only control roads and taxation.
Helen, can you talk a little bit about the roads and what's happening in Pennsylvania that we're seeing with the roads?
So one of the major impacts in a community is just the tearing up of the roads. The roads here tend to follow historic paths. They weren't necessarily engineered from the ground up, and certainly not engineered for 80,000-pound, multiple trips of 80,000-pound trucks. So, and especially this time of year with thawing and freezing, there's a real breakup of the roads. And in Pennsylvania, there are roads that have been closed for days, even to local residents, on account of them just being completely impassable. And then when they're not impassable, paved roads have turned into just gravel, mucky, roads, because it costs a lot of money to slow down the drilling process. So when the roads aren't passable, they bring in bulldozers and they drag the trucks in. And that just tears up the roads. And they'll get around. Apparently they're pretty good because it is in their interest to fix the roads, so they'll fix them. But there's actually now, you talk about impacts, shortages of gravel. They're trucking in gravel from, a 200-mile radius to sort of keep filling in these holes. But they're just tearing up the landscape. Just when you see these pictures of the bulldozers just dragging these, incredibly heavy trucks like through the mud to get to the well site because they can't afford to wait a few days. The road impacts are really, and the traffic. There are people that'll talk, they work in Bradford County. It used to take me 3 minutes to get to where I'm going. Now it takes 20 minutes to travel that same distance. And, just real impacts on the quality of life.
So there's something we can do about roads here?
So, again, at the municipal level, there are a number of there are road use agreements, road maintenance agreements, and sort of designated truck and hauling routes that can be implemented at the town level. But again, that takes, some of these require engineering and surveys of the roads to begin with, because if you're going to complain that the road was damaged, you have to know what it looked like in the first place. And there are some difficulties with all of this because the roads are sort of public rights of passage, so you can't unduly limit the ability of traffic and commerce. So it's really a complicated issue, and there are a number of towns out there that have started working on sort of once you get educated yourself, then there's this issue of educating the people in government, or they're not on your side running for office, trying to change your government. So, so it's a lot of work, and you know, it's going to take a lot of time to sort of get all of this in place.
Sounds like it might be easier to try to get the state to, well, maybe not.
There's a $9 billion deficit that they can't deal with, so it's certainly, it's tough at the state level, it's tough on the federal level. Most people have concluded that they're not going to help us, that it really is going to have to be on the local level. There are legislators in the state Assembly and Senate that have sponsored legislation to make it clear that municipalities have this right of home rule zoning. One of the sponsors is Barbara Lifton on an assembly bill for sort of local land use control. But there's a number of bills pending, so writing your and other people's state senators and assembly people indicating your support for those bills is important. The industry spent apparently so far this year $10 million on lobbying in Albany is one figure I've heard. So we don't have very many paid lobbyists on our side, and certainly not $10 million worth, so we need to do it ourselves. So, so those are a few of the things.
Thanks. Freida, Denise, closing thoughts, wrapping it up, trying to...
We already, I've gone to several college graduations where the first thing that's said is an apology for how the generations before them, how they left the earth and what they're left with, and the things that they'll have to do to survive, and the things that they need to do to make the world better. And I said this before, that we're at a juncture where we can make a decision and not go in the direction of hydrofracking. And we can save the water from being damaged. We can save the roads from being damaged. We can save homes from being ruined. We can save people from being ruined. Because these people who end up in such a bad situation have to prove that that's where the gas came from. Have to prove it came from that company. Have to prove it's all on them to prove it. It takes money to prove it. And these people end up with nothing. So I think, like I said, it's a no-brainer to me. Just don't go there, don't do it.
Thank you, Freida. I would just like to say that I'm very thankful that all of you came, because I know that each one of you will tell someone else about what you heard this evening. And I just want to just extend some of the ideas about you need to, I think that photographs are really important. I mean, photograph your landscape and maybe keep a photograph journal and date it so that you know what your area, what the roads were in front of your home, what your landscape looked like at, during a certain season, and keep it ongoing, because it could be very important. And I know that a lot of people have had to expend extra money to have a baseline testing of their water. But without some of these photographs and without some of this baseline testing, they were not able to prove at all that anything had changed. And if you do collect this kind of information, at least you have something for yourself and your family that you can say, this is how our life was. So I just want to thank everybody for coming, and thank you for the meeting.
Thank you, Helen and Freida and Denise. Hopefully we won't ever